The first trade was for 50% of my deposit. Besides trading, I don't do anything else.
On Upscale, you've withdrawn more than $25,000. How'd that happen?
One trade will cover all my losses, all those stop losses, and even put me in profit.
You handle large amounts of money calmly. How did you get to that point?
I realized I needed to take less risk, so I became more careful. All the news has already been reflected in the chart for a long time.
You know, before I move on to the interview, he's withdrawn tens of thousands of dollars in profit and he's still in high school. While recording, I felt a ton of positive emotions, and I hope I can pass that on to you too. You're on the Upscale channel. As always, I'm Igor Fox, and here you can learn how to start trading with company capital up to $400,000 and withdraw up to 90% of the profits. Let's go. Saul, tell me please, what's up with this Bitcoin avatar sitting in front of me right now?
What am I supposed to say to that?
All right, let's make it simpler then. Introduce yourself. Tell us your name, how old you are, what you do besides trading, or is trading your main job?
My name's Saul. I'm still in school, and this year I'm taking my final exams. Besides trading, I don't do anything else.
Do you want to do something else? I don't know, maybe? Did you ever want to be a driver, a courier, I don't know, an astronaut?
I don't know. I've always dreamed of opening my own restaurant. Well, mostly so I could eat there all the time and not have to pay.
So, look, you're still pretty young. You surprise me a little because usually the people who come to interviews with me are 20, 30, even 40 years old. How'd you even get into trading at such a young age?
حاجات
How long ago was that?
That was a long time, Bluff. It was about 5 years ago. Well, 13. Yeah, about that age.
How? Why? How did that even happen?
Yeah, I don't even know myself. It just kind of happened. That's all. Back then, Binance was fine. Everything was good. I just wanted to make money, but I didn't want to work somewhere. So I got into trading and realized that you don't always make money here either. But over time, things got better.
So you didn't want to just sit around in class. You wanted to mess around with something on the computer?
Nah, I did sit around in class.
So where did you get the initial money for trading?
Well, I had some.
You had some from lunch money?
I just had it. Yeah.
All right, fair enough. And what was your journey like? So you're saying you already have 5 years of experience. So what did you go through? Like, for example, where did you start? What did you, I don't know, stick with for a while, and where are you now?
At first, I bought Bitcoin on spot. I realized it takes too long to just sit and wait, so I had to do something. I sold it. Then I saw futures, so I checked them out. I watched some YouTube videos on how to open trades, what futures are all about. Well, I got the gist of it. I jumped into a trade and I got liquidated literally 5 minutes after opening it. I realized I needed to take less risk and started being more careful because that first trade was for 50% of my deposit. Leverage, I never really understood what that was. Set it to the maximum. I got liquidated in 5 minutes. And
So during that time, did you do any training, academies, courses, watch influencer videos, read books?
no, not a single one.
So how did your trading strategy come together?
Yeah, it just kind of happened on its own. I mean, it's not like as soon as I got on TradingView or something, I was like, oh, the Fibonacci retracement. Yeah, the Fibonacci grid. That's exactly what I need. It wasn't like that. It was more like everything gradually, slowly came together. It all started with basic trend lines, then break and retest, and it all just built up over time.
All right. So look, as far as I know, on Upscale, you've withdrawn more than $25,000. That's a pretty impressive amount in my opinion. Well, at least most people at that age have never had that kind of money. So tell me, how did you end up at Upscale? And how did it happen that you got such results? I mean, I assume you hadn't dealt with prop trading before, right?
No, I had, but this particular result, it overall is not actually that big. It's just that considering the types of accounts I had, you realize that this is actually a really good result. I mean, I earned more than 50 to 70%, even if you take the average amount across all the accounts and so on. More than 70% in 1 month. No, in 1.5. In 1.5 months, that's over 70% on the initial deposit, using 5 times leverage on isolated margin. Not everyone can pull that off. I've actually been familiar with prop trading for quite a while, starting with FTMO or whatever it's called. I bought one account, I think, for either $25,000 or $10,000. Back then, there weren't any sanctions or restrictions yet. For residents of Russia, I made it to the second stage, I think. But they didn't give it to me because, well, anyway, how does it work that? They do a risk check, just like the 5 years, FTMO, Hero Trader. All of them do a risk check after the second stage. It can take anywhere from 12 hours to 3 days, I think. That's what they say. Risk check. So basically, they watch you, look at everything you traded back then, what percentage of your deposit you used, what your risk was, and what kind of trading strategy do I have? I use really tight stop losses and really nice big take profits. So my average RR per position is about 8 or 9. And obviously, with just 1% of my deposit, I'm nowhere near a high risk trader because I might have 15 or 20 trades closed at break even. Another 10 might hit stop losses. And then one trade will cover all of that, all those stop losses, and still put me in profit. And as they explained, this is right on topic. As they explained, they said the risk was too high. They said, we take on traders like that, something like that, but obviously they didn't return the money. Well, it wasn't expensive, but still, just like with the 5 years, it was the same story. The only difference was that there, I was trading Forex.
You've really piqued my interest with your trading strategy. So let's jump right into TradingView, for example, and you can tell us everything and show us how it works.
First, I open up the daily, 4 hour, or maybe even the weekly chart if we've had a really volatile week, and I look at the most recent closes. So, like right here, you can see that everything is already moving from long to long, which means you can try to go long a bit and see if the trend continues. So, I pull back from here. And roughly like this, from this block at 161, 141. I look for a short. Or you could look from here as well. A long after this close, but for that, you'd need to open up the lower time frames and really look for an entry point. I look and see that we've reached the block, so I take a short. I take the short with this kind of risk, so here's where I open the position, and here's my stop, somewhere behind this wick. And usually I aim for here. It would have hit break even, but it could have been a good trade. So potentially that's 4.4% on this, but it didn't reach, ended up at 1.6% and hit break even. All right, that's it, but I would have taken partial profits anyway, in any case.
How long does a typical trade last for you? What's your average holding time?
Sometimes I open trades just for 15 minutes, 5 minutes, and watch. Some really quick scalps. Those last from 10 to 30 minutes.
I see the Fibonacci levels right on my chart. I see Fibonacci levels.
Yes.
What else predominates in your analysis? So I heard that you use different time frames. There's a weekly, daily, 4 hour, sometimes even a 5 minute one. I see Fibonacci. What else do you have in terms of strategy?
Yes, probably only Fibonacci. Some trend line might appear, and that's all. Breakouts and retests are the main thing. I don't see the point. To mark 1 billion imbalances or something else, I don't do that. My plan is not 100, but about 80% certain. I know how Fibonacci works. It's enough for me. I'll just stick to it.
I see. So, Sarit, you mentioned that you're still learning. How does that affect the way you structure your trading day? Like, I don't know, maybe you do your analysis before classes or you stay up at night, while someone else might get annoyed by that.
Actually, I don't trade specifically on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Not on those days. I very rarely get to trade. And it's not because of school or anything like that. It's just that those days aren't really mine. That's just how it is. It just doesn't work out. It never does on those days. I mean, well, it works, but not like, say, on a Tuesday. Like on a Tuesday, I can close the day with a 10% gain on my deposit. But on a Wednesday, I might end up in the red. 5% off my deposit in a single day. So yeah, it's like that all the time.
So, look, you mentioned that you had experience trading with other prop firms. Can you share what that journey was like? Did you ever fail any challenges? Did you ever get payouts from other prop firms? And in the end, why did you decide to try Upscale?
There were a sufficient number of attempts. When you trade on the stock exchange all the time and then go to a place where there are certain conditions that you absolutely cannot violate, otherwise you will, roughly speaking, lose your account. This is harder. The first three accounts were clearly flying off for me. Then by 10, by 20, the 5 years hadn't. And it turns out that they didn't give me any of them, just an account.
Come on then, Saul. Let's move on directly to the Upscale. I see you have a lot of different certificates for 50,000, for 25,000. Can you share how many challenges you took and how much money you withdrew in total?
It was probably on Upscale that I took on challenges. 6, 7. It was a 25-5 challenge. Well, that's all. Well, now I still have two more in the works. That's all, basically. I have 4 fan dollars. Well, here are all the payments.
So, why do we only see 2 certificates on your screen if there are 4 completed accounts?
Because they're on a different account. And
What kind of fundadas were there?
2 for 25.
How about the payouts?
One paid out $1,800, and the other one didn't make it to payout.
Okay, so besides what we see on the screen, you also have a second account with $1,800 on it. All right, can you tell us about your account? The one from January 26 for 25,000? So what's special about it? What payouts did you get from it and what else did it give you?
There's really nothing special about it. The first payout was for $3,767. The second payout was for $6,112, and the third was for $7,495. Thanks to that $25,000 account from January 26th, I took third place in the funded tournament with a profit of $4,700. But at the account's peak, I was in first place, and no one else really. Seems like no one else reached the same numbers I did.
Can you clarify something for me? What exactly did you get for third place and how did it all turn out for you?
For third place, they gave me an account one level higher than my current one. So I had a $25,000 account and they gave me a $50,000 account. And from that $50,000 account, I withdrew $7,879.
So, if I understood correctly, you bought a $25,000 account and withdrew over $10,000 from it in total. Thanks to that, I took third place in the tournament, got a $50,000 account completely for free, and then withdrew another $7,500. Is that all correct?
Yeah, except here it's actually over $17,000.
Over 17,000. My apologies. Now, I want to address the audience watching us directly. Maybe you're not subscribed to our Telegram channels, Discord servers, and so on. That's exactly where you can find out about tournaments like this, and that way you can pull off stories like the one Saul just showed us. So follow the links in the description. You'll definitely find something useful there for yourself. And now let's continue. Tell me, what about you? What's your usual risk per trade and position size?
The position size ranges from 25% to 75% of the deposit on Upscale with 5 times leverage. As for the stop, I set it at about 0.1 to 0.3% of the actual market move. If someone says that's gambling, just do the math on what would happen with 100 times leverage. So here, it's 5 times leverage. You can just sit down and calculate what percentage of your deposit that would be with 100 or even 150 to 200 times leverage if we're talking about exchanges.
Imagine you have $1,000 on an exchange and a prop trading account. For that same $1,000, but in the deposit, it's $100,000. In your opinion, which one is cooler, more convenient, and better? Which one is easier to scale up with?
There's definitely less risk with a prop firm and more risk on an exchange. If you've already passed at least one or two accounts with a prop firm, then of course it's better to get an account with a prop firm than to just sit and trade on your own on the exchange, because otherwise there's really no point.
I'm curious. Can you tell us which specific currency pairs you mostly traded on? Or perhaps which ones really helped you get to where you are today? The results you mentioned earlier, I mean.
Bitcoin, Ethereum,
Why those in particular?
I don't know. To me, Bitcoin is one of the easiest pairs to read. I mean, if you take something like a pump coin or any other altcoin, like Solana or something else, there are huge wicks. I keep getting stopped out on those. They don't even give me a chance, first of all, to move to break even or take any profit. I can just get stopped out by a wick. Bitcoin and Ethereum are much safer in that regard. Well, Ethereum is still a bit questionable too, but Bitcoin is solid, like a real man.
I've been listening to you this whole time. It seems like you have absolutely no fear of the market, does it? You handle large sums calmly. How did you get to that point?
What could be better or worse? So, am I supposed to just sit there thinking about this position, constantly watching it? Or if I just turn off my computer, my phone, and leave, go about my business calmly, it's all the same. I mean, just move to break even at some point, maybe lock in part of the profit.
Let me If you like this kind of content, make sure to hit the like button, leave your comments, and definitely subscribe to the channel. And I think, Saul, we'll leave a link to your channel in the description so people can follow you.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, Saul has given his permission, so there will also be a link to Saul in the description. You'll be able to find it there. From your side, you mentioned that you've already experienced a lot firsthand. In 2026, especially, the constant news noise really gets on your nerves. Like, for example, when some politician says something over there. Maybe someone posts something on Twitter or someone else mouths off about something. And because of that, the markets suffer. Does this affect your trading strategy in any way? And if it does, how do you ignore it?
Well, it's like all the news has already been priced into the chart for a long time. Sure, the news comes out, maybe it hits your stop, but most of the time it just comes close to your target. Maybe hits your stop, maybe not, whatever. The problem is that people don't realize that every price on the chart is set down to the exact hour, minute, and second. And so all these wicks and everything else have long been known to many of the people who actually control these markets. News doesn't really affect volatility. Well, it does, but if you've picked the right side, long or short, you won't have any problems. Even if some kind of news comes out, it won't matter. What
was your most critical moment in the last 5 years? What happened?
The past year, or maybe 2 years ago, everyone was waiting for alt season. Literally everyone. And how could I not wait for it? I was waiting for it too. That was the second or third time I bought some on spot. So before that, the first time I bought Bitcoin on spot, I was in like 7th or 8th grade. Just bought it for the first time. That was my first spot trade, Bitcoin. The second time, also bought Bitcoin, but just for a week. And then this time on spot, I bought so much stuff. So, it was down like 98%, maybe even 99. Maybe now it's specifically the altcoins. And I just sat there and waited. I kept buying more. I really believed in it. Like with Ethereum, if I sold it on time, I made a small profit. But with this one, I don't know. I might have to wait 20 years. I'll probably have to pass it on to my grandkids, at least if it gets out of the red. Sell it, you can spend it. It's like, that's really how things look right now.
So you really will end up leaving your altcoins bought in 2025 to your grandkids as an inheritance, with a note saying, waiting for alt season. Make sure you hold on to these.
No, well, I hope I'll manage to sell them and spend the money myself. But if it keeps going like this, yeah, I'll have to pass them on.
Oh man, that just made my heart skip a beat. All right. So, Saul, you have an amazing way with conversation. We're really hitting it off here. Let's say for our youngest viewers, I don't know if there will be anyone younger than you, but what advice would you give to those guys who are just now deciding to start their journey in prop trading? And they're picking out an account for themselves. For example, a $10,000 account. They've never traded on a prop before.
No, if they have absolutely no trading experience before this, then it actually seems like they're making the right decision and the right choice by starting out with a prop firm. At first, they should pick a medium-sized account, not the smallest, not the biggest, just something in the middle, like $25,000, $50,000, or $100,000 at most. Not $5,000 and not $200,000. Otherwise, you can pretty much consider that money lost already. Because there will be less pressure on you to pass and close it since it's your first account. By the way, this is especially true for younger guys, and for girls too, if there are any. It's that youthful maximalism. With my accounts, I always try to take them to the maximum withdrawal, but in the end, I end up with $200 or $300 left, and I go negative by about $1,500. Somehow, it's still because of my age. It's probably just maximalism. That's what it's all about.
Saul, do you consider yourself a successful trader?
Well, probably. More yes than no, I'd say.
What sets a successful trader apart from those who just can't make it?
Probably. It's the ability to stop at the right time. And with the recent events that happened at the prop firm, yeah, I noticed that a lot of people who sit there trying to get something out of the chat, trying to prove something to someone, trying to explain something to someone, as if they don't really want to solve the problem. They just start developing a gambling addiction. They go through withdrawal because they can't just log into Upscale, the prop firm, the website, or the app, and simply open a trade, click long or short. That's probably what sets them apart, because a successful trader, I consider myself one, will calmly understand that right now, given the circumstances, it means that for the next couple of days, you won't be able to trade your prop account.
Let me just say right away, guys, if anyone happens to fit this description, we love and respect everyone. This is just a personal opinion of our guest. So, Saul, what would you recommend to people who catch themselves having these thoughts? Maybe they haven't realized yet that it's a gambling addiction, but let's say they've caught themselves thinking this way. What would you recommend to them? At least
Stop for a month. Well, at least try it. Just that. Just spend a month without any accounts, without any trading, whether it's on the stock market or Forex. Don't do anything at all. Just live your life for a month. I think very few people actually live off trading right now, at this moment. Of course, there are some, but there aren't that many of them. If you compare it to Upscale, I think it's just a couple thousand people at most. The kind who live purely off trading. And everyone else, most likely, they have their own jobs, their own lives. So for them, it's just a passion, a hobby. Try to forget about all of it for a month. Maybe afterward you won't want to go back at all. Or maybe you will, and you'll return to it. Even after rethinking things, you'll still be thinking about it, at least for the next week. During this time of reflection, hopefully you'll come to the right conclusions. So give yourself a long break.
all right, a long break. Noted. Written down. $25,000. What did you decide to spend that money on?
Nothing.
So, like Smog, you just cashed it out and now you're just lying on it.
Buy myself a t-shirt.
Nice. For 25,000?
No. Well, that's probably it. That's all.
So you're saying it's just sitting there in your savings. Saul, what's your goal?
I don't have a goal yet either. A restaurant is a drag. Oh, a goal. I got tangled up in my own words. So the fact that I wanted to open a restaurant, yes, that's a goal. No, actually, it was a childhood dream, but now it's a goal. Because as a kid, I hadn't gotten to that point yet. But now, it's a concrete goal.
Saul, I suggest we wrap up our interview on this wonderful note. I want to thank all our viewers for being with us. Please like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed it. And of course, I wish to see you all at the top. And Saul, go ahead, give us the final treat, the cherry on top. You can say anything you want right now.
Wishing everyone kindness and peace. Happiness and love.
See y'all next time. Bye.